This is the kind of bullshit guys now have to deal with. This gaslighting. Scarlett Johansson says she was typecast as hypersexualized as a young actress. It wasn't part of my own narrative. More victimhood narrative from the most privileged people in existence. Now I'm going to prove to you that this is wrong. I will show you now. Johansson in the Woody Allen movie, Scoop. Do you see how she's dressed here? Not very sexy, is it? She's not very sexualized here, is she? Let's see. Here's the other one. Wow, she's really dressed to kill here, isn't she? Wow, very over sexualized. So this is a bullshit narrative here, and I'm going to prove it some more. Okay, here is Ghost World 2001, where she was a teenager. Do you see how she's dressed here? Along with Thora Birch, they're dressed as average girls. This is a non-sexualized role. Again, matter of fact, you'll see that most of her roles aren't really sexualized. A great movie I enjoyed was Lost in Translation. She wasn't even sexualized there. I think there was one scene where they may have showed her in her underwear. But none of her career is basically just average girls. You can see it wasn't until really the Black Widow movie that she really got to show off her body. And this movie catapulted her into real fame. Matter of fact, here she is signing autographs. Why is she dressed like this? This has nothing to do with the movie. No one's forcing her to dress like this, as far as I know. Because the Black Widow character is a comic book character. And guys read the comics. They read these superheroes. All the girls were always dressed and sexy for the guys. That's its purpose. And the only reason for anyone to slam that if they're against men having pleasure. Do you understand that? And here's another thing. Here she is in Pinterest. And what is she doing? Showing off her sex appeal, right? She's doing what all these other actresses are. She's capitalizing on it. This woman made her fame, her fortune off her looks and her body. It's a fact. That's what they do. They all play the game. When they say stuff like this, it's just gaslighting and it's victimhood gathering, for lack of a better word. Now, let's see. Okay, here we are. She's talking about the climate is so different now. There's so many wonderful opportunities for women of every age to play all types of people. But she didn't she, in her career? I showed you some of the parts she played. The 34-year-old star said during conversation with Jennifer Lopez, Laura Dern, Renee Zellweger, all older actresses, right? Now, I don't know about Lupita Nyong'o. I have to look at that. Aquafina. But this is the trend, isn't it? They're older women and they can't compete with younger women coming up and taking on the fantasy roles. But Scarlett Johansson, a lot of her roles weren't fantasy roles to start with. Ghost World was not a fantasy role for guys. It was just a movie, just a story. So this is a bullshit narrative. This is her narrative. This is her bullshit narrative that she's choosing. And frankly, I am sick of it. Scarlett Johansson played all kinds of roles. She got known as an actress, and she did make it big until she started showing her body off. And she capitalized on it. And now she feels like she's getting into the end of it. And now she's turning on the industry. So this is just pathetic. Do you understand that? This is pathetic, and men should start calling this bullshit out. Frankly, it's insulting. Screw Scarlett Johansson. And one last thing. Scarlett Johansson sues Disney over streaming Black Widow, BBC News. This is big news right now. She's suing. What it is, she's trying to blame Disney streaming it. She wanted it only for theaters, so people go to theaters. She's trying to blame Disney for the movie bombing. And it's bullshit. Because I can tell you now, I personally went to a lot of the MCU movies, and I had zero interest in watching Black Widow. She wasn't even a D-lister. Like if you read the comics, she wasn't even a D-lister. It wasn't even on the radar. She was bottom tier, not low tier, bottom tiered character until the Disney movies brought her into the limelight. And by herself, she is not interesting enough. Sorry. And as you can see, I mean, if you look at the presentation, they've even drained a lot of the sex appeal out of the character. She looks terrible here. Look at this one up top, the earlier one, and down here. I mean, Scarlett Johansson even got a breast reduction, which doesn't help. So it's almost like a screw you to the male fans. Anyway, this is all I got to say. I'm calling this bullshit out. It's not right. And more men should be actually saying this. This is bullshit. Thank you.